Listen, can somebody tell me why the majority of the women who talk about divesting are women who are hitting their 40s?
So guys, the divestment movement is growing here on social media, especially social media sites like TikTok and even here on YouTube. Now, what is the divestment movement, or who is a divestor? And typically a divestor is a black woman who once had favor with African American or black men in the United States, but for whatever reason grew tired of black men in the United States. And now those particular women are looking to take their dating talents to other communities, usually white men. All right. And, sometimes they make points as to why they're doing it. Black men are not building enough. Black men don't have enough infrastructure. Black men don't have enough masculinity. They're not running enough industries. And I mean, some of these things, are valid points, and, we can't argue against them because as black men, we see it too, right? Not everything divestors say about black men is incorrect. However, there are some serious hypocrisies, in my honest opinion, about the divestors, and I'll get into one right now. I want to talk about DD3121. She is a TikToker, and I want you guys to go over there and follow her on TikTok. And there is something that I have also noticed about divestors. Typically, I will say first, when I see them, they're usually a certain body type. Okay. And I always say they're typically in the, like in the BBW range, right? And also secondarily, they tend to be over 35. All right. Now, let me just talk about this in general, right? Because a lot of times there is some lack of accountability as to why certain ladies end up in certain situations. And DD3121 breaks it down in this first clip about, why women have a hard time finding good men. Okay, let me go ahead and play that.
Listen, I'm seeing a lot of older women out here claiming they want a good man. Now, these are women who are in their late 30s, 40s. They're out here saying how bad they want a good man and what a good man at. Knowing good and well when they were in their 20s, early 20s, they were not looking for good men. They were looking for street thugs, gangsters, the dudes with the swag. You wanted the attention and you wanted to have fun. And nobody prioritized a good man then. There were probably good men all around, but they didn't want a good man. That man was too nice. He was too straight-laced. He was not what you wanted. Now, all of a sudden, you're 30, 40. You ain't got no man. Now, you want a good man. I'm just saying.
All right. So that's kind of the basis of the argument, as Dr. Tian Johnson would say, undergirded in these particular, what we would call so-called facts, right? But now, here's the next clip that I want to play. And this clip pretty much defines why she thinks divestors are typically over 40. We'll play that.
Listen, can somebody tell me why the majority of the women who talk about divesting are women who are hitting their 40s? Can somebody tell me why the majority of women who always talk about divesting are older women? They're not the 20-year-old women. These are older women who seems like they've been in relationships and the relationships didn't work. And so now they're at a point where nobody seems to be hollering at them. And now they're saying they're divesting. Why is it the older women who are mainly the ones talking about divesting? I'm like, what's going on? I don't see 20-year-olds talking about divesting as much as I see older women who have hit the wall. Probably nobody's really checking for them. And now, because nobody's checking for them, they're talking about divesting. And, can somebody tell me why? Is that the case? I'm just saying, I'm curious. Let me know.
All right. Let me just say this. This is not true of all divestors, right? I think she's talking about a certain few ladies in the divestment community. They tend to be older, and they have given many times, let's say the prime years, to black men where relationships didn't work out. Now, could they have chosen the wrong sorts of men? Absolutely. But we all know there's not going to be any accountability for the kind of men that, you know, they could have had and the men that they have chosen, right? We always know that whenever women have a problem dating, typically in communities like divestor communities, it's always, you know, hey, I deserve more. I deserve better than what I'm getting. And also kind of nullifying the fact that they had played a role in choosing the men that they were dealing with, right? But she says something that's very, very interesting here. She said, listen, you know, you've had your opportunity. You've chosen the men. Then now at this particular age, you decide that you want to go over to other groups of men. Now, what they try to say is white men will give them a better opportunity, or Asian men will give them a better opportunity. Now, think about this. If you're a lady that you have kids and you're in your mid 30s or 40s, and you say, okay, well, I have black kids. Now I want to take my particular kids in my situation over to another community because, you know, the men in my community were no good and I want to go somewhere else. Then what you're pretty much saying is, well, these guys in these other communities would not have opportunities or options, right? Because if they were good men in these communities, let's say if they're white men or Asian men or whatever men that they are, if they're high earning or high value men, it is quite likely that the women in their communities have already recognized that. And typically in said communities, women recognize that early. What I mean by early? Well, because it's more traditional, it's more cultural. And in Black American communities or in the, you know, urban Black communities, ladies tend to, you know, shy off guys because they want to stay single, have their opportunities, finish school and things like that. And then what happens is after that, they will try to come out and say, well, you know what? I'm now ready to date. You know, I have a kid, I have a daughter or 2 kids. I'm ready to date. And then now the man needs to make a certain amount of money. And, you know, I don't want to deal with black men because I'm tired of dealing with their buffoonery or whatever the case may be. I think that my talents are better off in said community, you know, with non-black men. And the part is that most white men or Asian men that have said qualities have already been discovered. And typically there's a lot of ladies competing for them. And what we're not looking at is the lack of accountability for some of the dating choices that some of these women had themselves. I could understand if, you know, you had 1 or 2 relationships that, you know, you got played. But now if we're talking about, you know, you're in your mid 40s, every relationship wouldn't be another man's, you know, responsibility. At some point you would need to take responsibility for certain things that happen. And you just don't see that. You know, I was talking to my buddy last night, shout out to Schnasty, and we're talking about how men and women see relationships or opportunities, right? And men always talk about the fact like, hey, listen, it's your fault if you don't have what you have in life. You get what you deserve, right? It's your fault. Women look at things generally, it's somebody else's fault. Well, I don't have this is in that, right? It's not my fault. I'm perfect. And women kind of typically conjoin at the hip with that. And they kind of, you know, celebrate that like, yes, you know, you deserve better, even though you're the only person in every situation. And that's the difference. So the believing that, you know, you're going to go over to somebody else's community and be able to pick the best litter of their men with, let's say you're coming in at a certain age with, you know, kids from another race. It's probably not as likely as one would think. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all that you do. We're out.